That should work now. Okay. So we are now streaming live. So hello to everybody out there in the wide world of the internet. Okay, here we go. I'm going to spotlight this. Okay, and I'm going to share with you. I'm going to share with you the source sheet. I sent the link earlier in the email. If you wanted to print it out on your own, always feel free to do that ahead of time. Here we go. All right, we are on to the second paragraph of Kabbalat Shabbat, which is Tehillim Tzadi Vav, Psalms 96. And as we did last time, I kind of want to frame our discussion around the commentary of the Radak, Rav David Kimchi, and also that of Amos Chacham in the Dat Mikra Tanakh set. So, just getting it open here on my page. We saw what we talked about last time with regards to the psalm, the psalm that comes before it, Psalm 95, which is the first paragraph of Kabbalat Shabbat, is we certainly saw a theme of singing out, of acknowledging the how amazing it is, how amazing God is, and that the world is God's. And we describe a lot of outdoor scenery in that paragraph. Again, very much fitting with the idea of greeting the Shabbat in an outdoor setting. And the last part of that paragraph warned us to not be like the Dor Hamidbar, the generation that lived in the desert. They made, unfortunately, they had a challenge, I should say, of really seeing God in this world, in their world, especially having gone through what they went through. You would have thought that would have been a slam dunk that they should be able to, experience God and see God in the day to day. But that was clearly their challenge. And so what we're told at the end of that of Psalm 95 is, don't make the mistake of overlooking that which God does for us. The amazing things. Look how many amazing things he did for our ancestors, and then 5 minutes later, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but very soon afterwards, they're questioning Hayesh Hashem b'kirbeinu, Imayin, is God really there in our midst, or is he not there? So that and the idea was they didn't get to see place of Menucha, God's place of Menucha, which is Eretz Yisrael, the Beit HaMikdash, you might say, and in terms of Shabbos, how this is very fitting. The idea is, in some ways, we see Shabbat as Me'ein Olam Haba. It's sort of otherworldly. It's a place of menucha. It's a time of menucha. It's a Yom Shekulo. The time of the Mashiach is a time Yom Shekulo Shabbat. It's basically elongated Shabbat, and so we have this special opportunity on Shabbat to really tap into the place of God's menucha, and in some ways become closer to God in that sense. Okay, now again, we're going to study Psalms Tehillim Tzadi Vav sort of in its original form, and then we'll try to think about again why did they decide, Psalm 95 was great. I can see some obvious connections about singing out loud and greeting, Hashem, go and sing to Hashem, go out and sing to Hashem. I get it. What about this next one felt like it was a good choice to then say, let's say Tzadi Vav also. All right. So now with that introduction, let's start reading. Let me get my trusty laser pointer. Here we are. All right. And so here we are. We are Tzadi Vav. I put the whole paragraph here at the top, English underneath. And we'll take a look at the different comments of the Radak as we go. All right. The paragraph begins, Shiru LaHashem, Shir Chadash. Sing, it's a call, it's a request. Sing to God a new song, Shir Chadash, a new song. Shiru LaHashem, Kol Haaretz. Sing to God. All right, another command here. This is what you should do. Sing to God. It's almost like there's one person who's calling to the group here. Shiru LaHashem kol haaretz. Sing to God, all of the land. Right? Now, so what does this mean? What's going on here? So again, if you take Amos Chacham's approach, as we saw last week and the previous week as well, he viewed the previous chapter as talking about, and this is being a series of chapters in Tehillim that deal with those who would be going to Yerushalayim to bring korbanot and are expressing their thanks and their praise of God as they are on their journey and as they're getting there. So that was in continuing in that vein. So Amos Chacham reads this as, he says, and it's on your screen, so I'm just going to read it for you. He kriyat hamishorer el kahal hamitpalalim. He says this is like the person who's singing out, who's sort of leading the lead singer, I guess, who is is singing out to the kihila, who are those who are davening to God, who are coming and communing with God. Shemikvodo shel Hashem sheyichadshu midei pam shirim chadashim lisaper shvachom. That due to God's honor and glory, we should be singing new songs every opportunity we have to tell, to describe the greatness of God, to describe how we can praise God. Because you know why? There are so many things that God does for us in so many different realms of our lives. And the person here who's saying this is almost like calling out, like, let's sing a new song. We have to sing a new song. There's so many different songs we should be singing about God that describe praises of God. What does it mean, the second part of the phrase? So I understand the first part. Okay, so I'm calling to somebody. Let's sing something different. Let's sing something new. What is Shiru LaHashem Kol Haaretz? What does it mean, all the land? So Amos Chacham suggests that he's talking here. Lo hanochachin kan levadam ela kol haaretz equals kol bnei adam kulam. He's basically saying, like, it's not just us together who are gathered here and davening and having this experience in the Beit HaMikdash. Really, everybody in the whole world should be singing in praises to God, new praises to God. So it's Shiru LaHashem Shir Chadash. By the way, really, Shiru LaHashem Kol Haaretz. Everybody should be singing to God a new song, because everybody should be able to find new songs every single day, the new words to be able to describe our praises to God. Okay, now the Radak, Rav David Kimchi, so he writes the following in his explanation. Remember, he took a very messianic approach to the previous paragraph. So you could probably guess how maybe you might think about what is a Shir Chadash in the realm of a messianic moment. So Shiru, he writes here, this is source number 2, but I did not number the source sheet. Let's change that right now. Watch how you can number the source sheet. Just go to number sources. Okay, well, maybe make this later. We'll make it later. Okay. And we'll box them in bet samachtal. Okay. Now, Shiru, Yomar ish la'achiv, a person would say to his brother, to his fellow Jew, Shiru LaHashem Shir Chadash. Let's sing a new song. Shekabetz etchem mi Bavel. Because why? God has gathered us up from Babylonia, the diaspora, from exile. For Amar Chadash, Kolomar, what does it mean, Chadash? Titchadshulo Shir Zulati HaMizmor VaShirim HaNichtavim v'Kafalot. There are so many other songs that we've already sung. Here's another moment. God is bringing us back from the diaspora. I know he's talking here particularly about coming back from Bavel. I wonder here if Bavel is just simply a stand-in for exile. That here we are, we're coming back from exile, and maybe this means also a messianic period of the third Beit HaMikdash, and there's, we're being gathered in. So we have an obligation to sing a new song. There are so many other songs, but every time we experience something amazing, we should feel like we have something new to express to God in terms of praise. continues here and says, Shir La Hashem Shir Chadash. What is it? Again, he now puts the whole phrase together. Lechazek, to strengthen. V'zeh hamizmor. I mean, to strengthen. I think that our connection to God, right? V'zeh hamizmor chibru kishehalah ha'aron mibeit oved ha'edom im mizmor hodu la Hashem kiru b'shmo. Ela sheyesh beinehem shinui ma'at v'chadash bazeh shir chadash lefi sheshina oto bazeh sefer al kibbutz galuyot. So he points out here. The Radak points out this mizmor, this chapter of Psalms. Was Hebrew was author was compiled. What's the word in English? Hebrew, it was written. It was composed maybe as Kishahel when the Aron, when the place where the tablets were brought back from Mibeit Oved Edom, from the house of worship of Edom. Who's Edom? Right?
Rome?
Yeah. In rabbinic literature, Edom always is represented by Rome. Whether that is historically accurate, that we can trace the roots of Rome, the Roman Empire, to Edom, I don't know. I'm not here to just say, no, it's absolutely not true. But they view Edom is, of course, a descendant of Esav, right? And so the idea here is the Romans were the ones who destroyed the second Beit HaMikdash. They took a lot of stuff. I don't know what happened to the Aron. Indiana Jones, I think he has an idea, maybe, but I don't. But the idea is here, there's a return of things. Here, the Aron is coming back. In a time of Mashiach, you imagine, we'll find where the Aron is. The Aron is coming back from wherever the Edomites hid it. And this was written at the same time as a different Mizmor of Tehillim, which begins with the words Hodu Lashem Kiru Vishmo. I don't remember which number of psalm it is, though it sounds so familiar, like it's I think we said on Shabbat as part of the Sukkot Zimra. But there's a little bit of a difference between them. Right? There's a small difference between these two. And so why does it say Shir Chadash here? Because it's a little bit new, it's a little bit different compared to the one that was written earlier in Psalms. And Lefi Sheshino Tov Hazeh HaSefer, why? Because this part of the according to the Razak of Tehillim is really talking about kibbutz galuyot. It's talking about the ingathering of the exile. It's really aiming in a messianic way. And so what he's saying here is that it's a Shir Chadash because, yes, we've kind of sung songs that sound like this before. But this one's new because of the context. Here we're talking about the ingathering of the exiles. And so that's, worthy of its own moment, an own, song, even though it's very similar to another chapter in Tehillim that takes place earlier. Lastly, here says, Kol haaretz, like Amos Chacham Radak understands this as Kol Yoshvei Haaretz, all those in the land, and not just this is not just a message for those who are gathered in the little circle, whoever we're talking to here, right? This is something that everybody should really be experiencing and engaging in. Okay, comments, questions on this pasuk, this opening verse of Psalm 96. Yeah, Carol, go ahead. I see you.
He can't be saying it's written then because it didn't happen yet. So you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So obviously, this did, when this was written, the kibbutz galuyot hasn't happened yet. What just like the previous psalm, though, I believe that the Radak's interpretation is, whether right or wrong, the Radak's interpretation is that these were written for a time. This is like describing what will be at a time when Mashiach is being ushered in. And so here you have kibbutz galuyot. You have this amazing moment. It's time for a Shir Chadash. Shir Chadash here, before I even read Amos Chacham's interpretation, which is not really about, Mashiach, I would have read this as definitely very messianically oriented, where it's a new song for a new chapter and a new time. Definitely sounds like Mashiach. Though again, you can just say it's a new song because you're appreciating the new the new amazing, a different amazing thing that God has done for us today. Okay, let's go on to Pasuk Bet. Okay. Shirula is now the command of singing doesn't stop. And again, now you can already see a little bit of the obvious connection here with Shabbat and Kabbalat Shabbat and the singing that was supposed to take place at the Kabbalat Shabbat. And very fittingly, by the way, most shuls, when there's a singing part of Kabbalat Shabbat beyond the Chadodi, this is the chapter that is sung, which makes sense. Shiru LaHashem Shir Chadash. We should sing it. We shouldn't just say it. Anyways, Shiru LaHashem Baruch Hu Shemo Basiru Miyom Liyom Yeshuato. Sing to God, right? Sing to God. Bless His name. Basiru Miyom Liyom. Proclaim every day, right? Day after day, you should proclaim His salvation. Every day, right? Day after day. Liyom Liyom. So what does Amos Chacham do with this? He says that Baruch Hu et Hashem b'shir asher tashiru lo. Bless God, right? Bless Him through the song, right? Shir Hashem Baruch Hu Shemo. So when you sing, that's your way of blessing God, right? Because we already got the command to sing. So why are you saying it again? Other than to clarify that through the song, through the shir, that's how you are in the shir. You should make sure to be blessing God's name. Baruch Hu Shemo. That's a command to bless His name. And Baruch Hu here he writes, as mashma means hallelujah, means praise. How are you going to bless? Really through the praise. And he gives a few examples in other places in Tehillim where the idea of the word Baruch Hu is used, and really the context lends itself to being more about, praising or hallelujah. He gives an example, by the way, Tehilat Hashem Yedaber Pi, Vivarech Kol Basar Shem Kadsho, right, which is from the end of Asher, maybe you recognize it. Right there, it's praise God, through your mouth, basically. Vivarech Kol Basar Shem Kadsho, and they should bless your name. Literally means and all flesh should bless His holy name. How? Through praise. By praising God, that's how we give a bracha, as it were. That's how we bless God, right? By praising God, by pointing out the amazingness of God. That's how we bless God. Pause for a moment and appreciate that the way you bless God. How do I bless God? And the Gemara in Brachos in the first parak talks about this. Once I think Ora gave a shir about this in our shul. There's a passage in Brachos on Dav Zayin that talks about what did what is there was a prayer that was said. God had asked him for a bracha from I'm forgetting who was the Kohen Gadol at the time, and he gave him a bracha. Because what did he do? He described characteristics of God, and that these characteristics sort of shine through in God, right? That He has rachamim, should overtake His ka'as, etc. Right? It's about describing the amazing character traits of God. That's how we bless God, by pointing out to others the amazingness of God through our praising Him, by saying the words out loud of what makes God amazing. I give other examples as well where those are interchangeable. With regards to this idea of basru miyom liyom, this idea of proclaiming from day to day the salvation of God, he says here, I'm just going to read for you the sentence. Amos Chacham writes, he says, Hashmi'u hacharizu b'chol yom vayom et Yeshuato. You should, listen up. You need to proclaim, right? Make it heard. Make it be proclaimed. Every day, God's salvation. Don't let a day go by without finding a moment to praise God. Right? That's what he's saying here. Don't let a day go by. Right? These people, again, in Amos Chacham's world here, he's imagining them, they're in the Beit HaMikdash. They're in the presence of God. And he's telling, the person sort of leading the group is saying, it's not just today, folks. Every day. Basru miyom liyom Yeshuato. When you're home, back where you are, not in the Beit HaMikdash, you still need to find time to praise God out loud, in song. People can hear you that way. You can hear yourself that way. V'akavana, he says, Shebechol yom vayom Hashem poel yeshuot chadashot. Every day, God is doing things that bring salvation, new salvation every day. And you know what, those people who the Kol Haaretz people, those people all out there, you need to be singing so they can hear you. You need to be pointing out God in this world so they can acknowledge it themselves and sing out to God. Right? So in order to make sure that Shiru Hashem Kol Haaretz happens, we need to praise God, his name, and do it every day, pointing out consistently to people until they get it. Till people get it. Till we get it, until other people get it. That God is making the good in this world happen. He is in the driver's seat. That's Amos Chacham's interpretation. All right, we'll go for a few more minutes here. Radak says, what does miyom liyom mean? And I don't know how many people are on this now. If you're just tuning in, by the way, for the Barry Weiss thing, I don't know if anybody's tuned in. Stay tuned. You got 20 minutes still to go. Miyom liyom, ritzono lomar, tamid bechol yom. Always and every day, you should be describing, proclaiming God's salvation. V'tam basru, zela ze afal pi shekulam yadu ke'echad hayeshua. It's true. What do you mean? Especially in the Radak's world, everybody's experiencing the Mashiach right now. It's not like, you're living under a rock. You understand that what's going on in the world is something unique, something incredible, something amazing. Mikol Markom. Nevertheless, why do I need to proclaim it every day? Because nevertheless, Yesipur HaYeshua Chaviva Be'einem B'chol Yom V'Yom. Because you know what? A good story told every single day, about Yeshua, that's beloved. That my life changed. Think about if there's a life-changing moment for you. I think about, by the way, for if there's a moment in your life where just something really, there was some sort of salvation moment, something where you can't believe it happened. What do? You tell the story over and over and over again to this friend and that friend and the other friend, and how many times you end up hearing the same story a few times from the same person because they keep talking about it because they can't stop talking about it because it's an amazing story. So same thing here. The story of Yeshua is so beloved in their eyes, in everyone's eyes. Every day we should be doing that. By the way, what's an example that we actually do of this every day? We have a mitzvah twice a day for this. We fulfill it at the end of the Kriyat Shema. And that is, there's a mitzvah, the mitzvah on Seder night to tell the story. But every day there's a mitzvah of Zechirat Yetziat Mitzrayim. We're supposed to mention every single day that God took us out of Egypt. Ani Hashem Elokeichem asher hotzeiti etchem eretz Mitzrayim. We describe God as taking us out of Egypt. Why do we do that? Because it has become so ingrained. It has become so ingrained in who we are that it's something really special, right? If you're just tuning in,
talking.
The program that you're looking for probably is going to start at 8:00. There's another class going on right now for around about 3 or 4 minutes. So
he says the program we're looking for will start at 8:00. I don't know whether he hears me or not.
I can hear you. I can hear you. 8:00. Okay. All right. If you're able to maybe just put your mic on mute, that will probably be the best. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, just another 2 minutes, folks. We're going to finish this pasuk, I think, and then we'll have to stop. Vitam basru, zelas. Sorry. So, right, this song is so incredibly special. Ki habsurahi chidush hasipur. What is the proclaiming every day? It's telling the story. It's this novelness of the story, this amazingness. Vu arev al hadam, and it's such a precious story to people. B'yom shamo, and when they hear it, on the day that they hear it, it just makes me feel so. I love it. I feel warm from God, and He loves us, and it's great. And as time, but if the first day you hear the story, it's great. What happens if you don't hear the same story over and over again? As time goes by, that arvut, that preciousness or the pleasantness of that story, it dwindles, goes down. So va'amar ki b'chol yom v'yom arev hasipur hayeshua. But if we tell the story of salvation every day, by the way, like we do with Egypt, it becomes such a beloved part of who we are as a people. I think that's really true. That story of leaving Egypt is such a central part of who the Jewish people are. Every day we talk about Egypt in the Tefillah, in Shema, right? Ki'ilu oto hayom hu yom besura. Because why? Because then you can really attempt as best as possible to really feel on that day that today is the day that it really happened, right? It's a little bit like in the Haggadah where you're supposed to see yourself as having left Egypt. How can you do that? Well, the best way to put yourself in position to do that is to be always consistently talking about it. to the point where you feel the experience. Now that's obviously very hard, but the goal here of this in this pasuk is really to really be telling people every day the story of the salvation for the rest of our lives, every single day, so that it is always a part of our story and it's meaningful to everybody every single day. I am going to pause here because it's 7:45 and people are going to start to log in. They're going to be like, what's going on? So we'll pause here. I have to also prepare. So I'm not going to shut the feed off here, though. I'm going to actually turn the YouTube off. So good night to everybody.